Welcome to the Show Me Podcast with your host, Jeff Livingston.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeff Livingston, and I'm excited to give you a very special episode of the Show Me Podcast. I'm going to take you through Olympic National Park. Some of you that know me well know that I went there last year to photograph a job for Aramark, which has a brand called Nation's Vacation. And they have a whole bunch of lodges in Olympic National Park. So the lodges of Olympic Park, those are their brands there. And anyway, long story short, I wrote up an Instagram guide for them. We haven't ever published that. They did use a lot of the imagery. But in conversations with my contacts there, I said I wanted to share these images. I think it would give people something awesome to look at this Memorial Day, particularly with everything going on with this COVID-19 situation. So with that, let's enter Olympic National Park with our first image. Anybody that's been to a national park knows how fun it is to arrive, and you probably have gone through some hour-long drive or multiple hours to get there, and you see the sign, you're like, oh, here I am. And it was really cool to enter Olympic National Park. Now, the first place I went when I visited Washington State and the park was actually Lake Quinault. This is what Lake Quinault looks like on a kind of a crazy day. It's a little bluer here in this image because I had some fun with the editing and made it a little surreal. But this is basically the beach at Quinault Lodge, Lake Quinault Lodge, which is run by the Aramark folks. And I am going to talk about that stuff. So it's where I stayed, and that's what I was there to do. So you're going to see it from my perspective. Anyway, it was a beautiful view, gorgeous sky, incredible. And believe it or not, the sky has a lot to do with what we're going to talk about today generally, because when I started shooting there, I expected to get lots of rain and moody scenes because that's what that park has a reputation for. But like the middle of day two, the sky just went straight blue, no clouds, and it turned into quite a challenge photographing. But we'll talk about that in a bit. This is what the lodge looked like. It was really cool. It's this is a very wide-angle lens, so you have a very little perspective about how long this actually is. But it was very cool. The leather couches were awesome. Really enjoyed being there. And that's what it looked like from the outside. I love this photograph with the wildflowers on the bottom and the lodge in the background. It was a really cool place, and there were a lot of families there. It was late April when I attended. Lots of fun. So again, here's another photo from the lodge beach. Right away, you see this log there. This is really Olympic National Park. You see these incredible rainforest scenes everywhere, seeing logs in the water, in lakes, on the beach, in the ground, trees growing out of them, rainforest trees upon trees upon trees, all very normal stuff in Olympic National Park. What an incredible thing to see how Mother Nature has evolved over the centuries. This is one of the waterfalls outside of the park, of the Quinault Lodge area. Once you start entering into the park, it's called Bunch Falls. Really beautiful. I published a vertical version of this, which I have framed in my house. It's just a really, really stunning photograph. All the beautiful moss, the ferns. This is a beautiful scene. I have a copy of this photograph in my house. I framed it. I did a horizontal one here, but I have a vertical one in my house. And that one I published last year was very, very popular. Just beautiful. You can see the moss. You can see the flowing waters, the ferns. You're going to see quite a few waterfalls here because that's what I felt like there was a ton of in Olympic National Park. So here's another one. This is Merriman Falls. This one I kind of went around the side and got that photo. Just really, really gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful scenery. Again, the ferns, the moss, just incredible. And then here's kind of the mood of Olympic. You have these rolling mountains. You see some of the snow from the ridge in the background, and then the rivers, and just really stark, dramatic Western landscape. Kind of the stuff you'd expect to see out of an Ansel Adams, the pine trees. Really beautiful. Some of the the rain that you constantly see in the background there and some of the fog, just really amazing as we move into the next picture, this Olympic Mountain landscape. And then there are the rainforests. And my buddy Nana joined me for the first day of it. Nana was featured in a different episode of the Show Me podcast, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes. But Nana is a very tall man. He is 6'6". So we had him stand right there in the trail and go up like that so you could get an idea of the perspective of the size of these trees. Just massive, massive spruces, reminiscent of a redwood forest almost. And it's clearly filled with like green vegetation from the rain. Really beautiful. This is the trail to Irely Lake. And Irely Lake in its own right is a very, very stark scene, as you can see with this incredible, I guess, dead trees coming out of the middle of it, particularly with that one big, huge spike. Just shockingly beautiful and amazing and surreal. You just don't see things like that very often. And my understanding of this lake, we were again there during April, so there was a lot of runoff in the water. But as the summer gets along and the water decreases, you can see caribou coming up on the shores and stuff like that. There was very little shoreline there when we got there. It was very hard to actually even get a straight shot. Then, of course, Lake Quinault has its own rainforests. And I could show you rainforest scene after rainforest scene. It's just incredible. I must have taken 300 photos. I'm not going to do that. You would probably be very angry with me. But I think this photo kind of gives you an idea of what these forests were like. Moss everywhere, great vegetation everywhere. Everything is just full of life. Looks like it's just springing forward. Just a beautiful, beautiful place. This thing over here in the lower left corner, I love this photo because it kind of almost looks like some like moss turkey coming out of the water. But just an incredible place to be. And then eventually we left Lake Quinault, and Nana came out to Ruby Beach with me, and then he had to jet back to Seattle because he had to go to work, and he's got his fiance there and all that. But this is what Ruby Beach looked like during the day. Now, this photo is really pretty, and you can see that there's a little bit of log in the front, a couple of them, and then there's some logs in the background, and of course the beautiful, beautiful mirror. But in addition to that, you'll notice that there are no clouds. From a photography standpoint, this presented a huge challenge for me because to have no clouds is like a nightmare. So you'll notice that the way I framed this was with thirds and layers, and as you move through this series of photos moving forward, you'll notice that the sky is pretty much going to be limited to the top third or less because there was nothing to see there, unless there was some sort of a sunset where the color was actually good, which was rare with no clouds. That I just did the best I could, and it became about the land. So here's another shot of the incredible Ruby Beach. This couple framed by these gigantic rocks, just an epic, beautiful scene. I really loved Ruby Beach. If I ever go back, it may be the first place I go to. Here's a young lady also walking through those same rocks during the sunset. I love having the people in the photos because it provides a little juxtaposition. And then you can see this scene as sunset arrives. Again, the sky is minimized. The sun's right off over the edge, as you can tell. It's just a really gorgeous, beautiful, long exposure. I think you can see somebody standing on the edge of one of the rocks in the distance. All the pebbles in the foreground, so pretty, so amazing. If you get an opportunity to see this place, I highly recommend it. I probably spent about 30, 40 minutes getting shots of this, and I have a whole bunch of different exposures from the orange of the sunset to the blue of the immediate time preceding that. This is Rialto Beach, which is to the north. Very, very harsh beach, a lot more rugged than Ruby. It's got a lot of logs on the side of it. Really gorgeous, amazing scenery. Again, no sky. So you'll see it in the top third here, but I think this kind of gives you a sense of feel for what the place is. And of course, it has some incredible scenes. This is what is known as the hole in the wall. Really gorgeous. You can see through it. People are probably, I have a couple photos of people in it. I probably should have shown one here, but people are probably about it, maybe like of that hole, if somebody's standing behind there, they're probably about 1/6 the size of it. Just incredible. And you have to trudge through about 3 or 4 miles of sand to get there. It's amazing. And here's another view of that same landscape. The hole in the walls behind these rocks here. Again, a long exposure in the middle of the day. And then finally, on the way back, I sat down and I caught some more images. And I sat here and I photographed what I would say is one of the primary rock foundations. Over here, this is a Native American land, and I couldn't get in there, but I did photograph this here, and you can see there's some black sand beaches. It's really cool. That was my daughter over there. This is the Hall of Mosses, and this is probably the most famous site in Olympic National Park outside Hurricane Ridge, and I think it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can see 3 people looking up at these gigantic trees with the moss raining down on them. It's just shocking. This is probably about a 200-yard stretch in the forest where the Hall of Mosses actually is. Here's a look straight up at what they're looking at. Again, these towering trees with hundreds of years of moss just kind of growing down on them. Pretty cool. And along the way out there, there's, of course, the Hoh Rainforest, which is right by the Hall of Mosses. And there's a mother holding a child on one of these big logs in the middle of the forest there. It was pretty cool. I also went out into the woods and found this cabin. I think this was by some of the Salmon Cascades and some of the forests out there. Just really stark, really beautiful, kind of shows you what life was like maybe 100, 150 years ago. Can you imagine living in this type of an experience? I mean, wow, just amazing. Takes your heart away. And again, you can see the ferns and the mosses of the rainforest. This is a babbling brook by Solduck Falls. Again, very dark, but I had to expose it this way because if you see in the background, the light is also very, very dynamic in range. And you can see that the water wasn't moving too fast. You had very few areas where the rapids translated into kind of like a white foam. But if you want that kind of thing, Solduck Falls is just incredibly powerful. You can see in the upper right corner, there's an overlook where people could see the falls. And this stuff comes fast and furious. It's a very powerful waterfall, probably the most dynamic of all the falls I had seen when I was there. Definitely worth checking out. And I do believe that there's a hot spot by there, too, if you want to take a soak. Then along the way out to Solduck Falls is Salmon Cascades. This is, again, another really powerful waterfall or rapid. And this is the type of rapid that you would see wild salmon when they're mating. They would go up a river like this. So that's why it's called, you got it, Salmon Cascades. Eventually, I made my way up to the north side of the park, and I was at Lake Crescent Lodge, which is another one of the Aramark Nation's vacation properties. And again, really gorgeous, really beautiful. You can see these deck chairs that are looking out on the lake. This was towards the end of the day. That's the somewhat yellowish, goldish tinge on the building and the chairs. But no clouds again. So you can see I did my best to cover up the sky. Just enough to show you that it was a clear day. And this is the interior of the lodge. Really awesome, really cool. I love that telephone booth in the back there. I actually got another photo of that. And this is kind of what it looked like from the perspective of being in some of those chairs. This beautiful sunrise, or sunset, I should say, this duck going across the scene. Just really amazing. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. It warms my heart. I love being out there. I think I must have spent several hours on the shores just trying to get different images and views of that sunset, those mountains, the blue mountains. I did travel around the lake a bit. It is pretty amazing. This is how clear it is. I mean, literally, these stones are underwater. So consider how beautiful and unpolluted the waters are, and then also the mirror image that you're seeing with these different mountains and the trees on the right side, just incredibly crystal clear. And again, no clouds, so we minimize that and bring out the rest. There's a camp that's near the lodge, so I hiked around one morning and I caught this image. I thought it was really kind of scenic and beautiful. Can you imagine being a kid and going to this for a week or two with your schoolmates? I mean, come on, man. Does it get better than this? I got to send my kid to this place. This is amazing. I really loved it. Totally wanted to go back. And of course, we could stay at the lodge for a long time, but I did get out and photograph everything. And like one of the things I saw was Elwha River. I was on my way there to capture another waterfall. And this was kind of what I saw. It was an amazing kind of way. The water kind of was moving so quickly from all the snow melt off, and it was gorgeous. And then, of course, here's the waterfalls, Madison Falls, big, huge waterfall. So I have to do the shot vertically with this one. Again, there's so many waterfalls throughout Olympic National Park. You could probably just drive around for days looking at waterfalls. And if you're a photographer and you like long exposures, you probably will. I wanted to show you this photograph. I think I actually saw this near the Hoh Rainforest, but it really kind of shows you the neatness of how the rainforest grows. You can see these two trees. The moss is on the trees, and they grew together, and the roots grew together, and I believe that there's a dead tree underneath, or a very old tree that had passed centuries before that these guys grew on. And so they call that a nurse tree. And when the nurse tree eventually goes away, sometimes you'll see something like this where the trees grow together. And I called this photo Until Death Do Us Part. And I think it's kind of like a married couple together in the forest. Finally, I can't tell you how awesome it was to go to Hurricane Ridge. I was really hoping for some clouds so I could get some insane, what I would call like rolling cloudscape photos of the clouds moving through the mountain range. Was not to be. I did get some incredible photographs. So this is the Hurricane Ridge sunrise. It's orange. It's beautiful. There's some incredible rays coming through the land. And it was fantastic. Really enjoyed it. You can see there's some crepuscular rays. I did have a couple of happy accidents with some really wild distortion with the light. But this is a blue chip photo, as I say. Here's another one. Again, looking the other direction. What was orange on one side, you turn around behind you, you got like the sun coming up, and you can see the burn coming up on the pine tree to the right, which provides great context. And of course, Hurricane Ridge is back there, just incredible. They call it Hurricane Ridge because when the winds kick up, it's as fast and as loud as a hurricane. Just an incredible scene. This is one of those epic shots you expect to come out of this park. Here's another one with the rays coming in sideways, crepuscular rays as they call them. Just, again, so amazing. You could sit here for just hours and watch the light paint the scape and change the scape and just get different perspectives. Look at the little pine trees on the front mountain there, just giving you an idea of how big this scene really is. I hope I can make it back there someday, bring my kid along with me. But something to think about for you this Memorial Day, hopefully. One of the things that you'll find in national parks is wildlife. And this is a grouse that was mating at that time. Now, I didn't have many wildlife opportunities. I was hoping to see some elk or some caribou. But this guy just kind of literally landed right in front of us at Hurricane Ridge. I was there with the tour guide and posed and was kind of like puffing out his chest to do like a mating ritual. And so I got his photograph. It was awesome. I think I shot this with a 200 millimeter shot. So that kind of gives you an idea of how close I was. And he did not move at all. I mean, he was just there, and it's a great wildlife photo. So if you're into that kind of thing, also saw a lot of hummingbirds and sparrows, really cool stuff. This is Port Angeles. And I wanted to show you this because if you have to leave Lake Crescent Lodge to get anything, you have to go to Port Angeles. And across the way, across the sound, in the distance, you see a little bit of land. That's Canada. So that's how close I was to Canada. It was really cool. Loved this photograph because it's so beautiful with the lines and the cruiser in the back. Travel photography is not just about the building, but also about wherever you are. And outside the seawall, no sky. So you can see we got some good photos with no sky. You can make it happen, but you definitely have to work on your composition to make it so. So that's pretty much it. But I'm going to give you a couple more photos just to end it on a bang. This is, again, Lake Quinault, that moody kind of scape. It's kind of got all the drama of the sky over a good 30-second, maybe longer exposure. Just incredible stillness in the scene, and it also shows you all the power and the emotion of the moment. And then on the other side, this is what Lake Crescent was like at night. I really have to thank Aramark and Nation's Vacation for allowing me to show you these photos. I have so many more. I really went from 90 photos last night to the 40 that you saw today. It was hard, but I don't like these podcasts to go too long, especially when it's me solo. It gets kind of boring, So have a great Memorial Day. Have a great vacation. Don't let this COVID thing get you down. Find your park, find it near you, and enjoy some nature. Thanks for having me as part of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Show Me Podcast with Jeff Livingston. More shows, sponsorship, and donation information are available at showmepodcast.com.